At least 4 murders in 2004 were perpetrated by American spree killer Richard Lee Tabler, who was born on February 5, 1979. Tabler and the co-defendant shot and killed 2 men at a nightclub in Killeen, Texas, on Thanksgiving Day of 2004. 2 days after the double murder, Tabler also murdered 2 teenage females who were dancers at the same nightclub. Tabler was accused with these 4 killings and was given the death penalty for 2 of them, while his accomplice received a life sentence in prison. As of right now, Tabler is waiting on death row to be executed on February 13 after losing his appeals against the death sentence. Richard Lee Tabler was born in Tulare County, California. Court filings state that Tabler did not have a happy upbringing because his parents were allegedly involved in a tumultuous marriage, which negatively impacted Tabler's early years. His father, Robert, attempted to persuade Lorraine, his mother, to get an abortion when she became pregnant. Lorraine ultimately gave birth to Tabler. Throughout his early years, Robert himself did not give Tabler much attention because of his lengthy work hours, frequent travels, adultery, and excessive drinking. Tabler's mother ignored him because of her work schedule. She frequently left him in the care of his older brother and sister. She was rarely home and disappeared constantly when Tabler was only 10 years old. Tabler spent much of his time with his father in California, but he also lived with Lorraine in Florida and Nevada during his teens. As a student, Tabler struggled to pay attention. He performed poorly academically, he had to retake the 3rd grade, and was frequently lonely with only one friend. Tabler was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 12. Although his mother and sister said that he was a pleasant individual, he frequently lost his temper easily. Tabler was engaged to a woman in his adult life who had a daughter from a prior relationship, but the two parted ways before Tabler was taken into custody for murder. In California, Tabler was convicted of escaping and assaulting a police officer, in addition to second-degree burglary. He received a 3-year prison sentence. Additionally, he had a history of intimidating both other prisoners and law enforcement. When Tabler was arrested for parole violation in 2003, he allegedly kicked the windows of another patrol car after being arrested and taken into custody. He escaped from a patrol car while handcuffed and threatened his parole officer by saying he would take care of him and his family. Over the course of 2 days, between November 26 and November 28, 2004, Richard Tabler committed 4 murders in Killeen in 2 separate instances. On November 26, 2004, 25-year-old Richard Tabler and his accomplice, Timothy Doan Payne, an 18-year-old Fort Hood soldier, shot and killed a strip club manager and another male victim. Tabler had previously worked at the club, which was run by Mohammed Amin Rahmouni, 25, before the double murder. Following a disagreement that resulted in Tabler losing his job, Rahmouni allegedly threatened to destroy Tabler's family for $10. As a result, on November 18, 2004, Tabler made the decision to kill Rahmouni and devised a plan. He purchased a camcorder, a pickup truck, and a 9mm rifle in order to prepare for this plan. On Thanksgiving Day, November 26, 2004, Tabler reached out to Rahmouni and offered to sell him some stereo equipment for $1,500. They set up a meeting in a nearby business parking lot. After that, Rahmouni's buddy, Haitham Frank Zayed, 28, drove Rahmouni to the rendezvous. Once they were there, Tabler, who was in the pickup truck with Payne, shot Zayed and then Rahmouni. Payne also recorded portions of the shootings. Later, Tabler pulled Rahmouni's and Zayed's bodies out of their vehicles. He even gave Rahmouni a second shot as he was still breathing when he was removed from the car. Tabler took a black bag and a wallet from the car after the killings, but Payne kept the videotape and showed it to a friend before destroying it. Tabler had even boasted to a roommate about the killings. He called the Bell County Sheriff's Office the night after killing Rahmouni and Zayed, claiming responsibility for the double murder and vowing to carry out another. On November 28, 2004, 2 days later, Tabler did carry out another double murder. This time, his victims were adolescent girls. Tabler claims that he had a hit list of 11 Rahmouni's bar employees that he intended to murder. He selected 2 underage ladies who were dancers at the club. Amanda Benefield, 16, and Tiffany Lorraine Dodson, 18. Tabler brought the girls to the lake after luring them out, saying he will be giving them substances. There, he turned the gun on both of them and shot them several times. According to reports, Tabler thought the girls figured out that he was responsible for Rahmouni and Zayed's murders. Following the killings of Benefield and Dodson, Tabler called the sheriff's office once more to make fun of the recent killings. He threatened to come after the police if they did not close the club and said he would kill more people, specifically all of the remaining staff members of Rahmouni's club. An employee of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers found the girls' bodies. Dodson's identity was quickly determined by direct inquiries, but Benefield's was not. It wasn't until December 4, 2004, that the authorities made a breakthrough and recognized Benefield, who was a Louisiana runaway girl. Police investigators suspected Richard Tabler of being involved in the deaths of Tiffany Dodson and Amanda Benefield after he was jailed on unrelated charges of felony theft on the same day he killed them. The following day, while being held by the police, Tabler admitted to the killings. Timothy Payne was also taken into custody for his involvement in the killings of Haitham Frank Zayed and Mohammed Amin Rahmouni after Tabler said he was an accomplice. On November 30, 2004, Tabler and Payne were charged with 2 counts of capital murder, which is punishable by death under Texas state law for the shooting deaths of Zayed and Rahmouni. In addition, Tabler was the only person charged with capital murder for the December 10, 2004 deaths of Dodson and Benefield. Tabler later withdrew his confession and denied that he ever carried out the killings. In addition to the Benefield-Dodson killings for Tabler alone, a Bell County grand jury indicted both Tabler and Payne for the Thanksgiving double murder on February 17, 2005. Both Payne and Tabler entered not guilty pleas to their murder charges on February 26 the same year, and the prosecution formally announced on May 21st that they would pursue the death sentence against Tabler. On January 26, 2007, Judge Martha Trudeau of the 264th District Court denied the defense's plea to have the death sentence removed from Tabler's case for the reason of diminished responsibility. Tabler's trial for the killings of Zayed and Rahmouni was originally scheduled for late 2006, however, it was moved to 2007. Opening arguments were presented on March 19, 2007. Jury selection for the case started on February 12, 2007. On March 21, a jury found Tabler guilty of killing Rahmouni and Zayed as accused, and on March 26, his sentence trial was scheduled to begin. On April 2, 2007, the same jury returned and found Tabler guilty of each count of capital murder related to the Thanksgiving double fatalities. He was then sentenced to death. Although a trial for the Benefield-Dodson double murder has not yet been scheduled, Tabler's charges of killing Benefield and Dodson are still in progress. Regarding Payne, he was put on trial for the Rahmouni-Zayed killings in a different court. Payne is incarcerated at Memorial Unit for the duration of his life sentence. He will be eligible for parole in 2044 after serving at least 40 years. Richard Tabler has been a death row inmate at the state's death row Ellen B. Polunsky Unit since his 2007 sentencing. Following a suicide attempt in October 2007, Tabler was briefly removed from death row and placed in the Jester 4 unit. After the trial, Tabler appealed his 2 death sentences for the Thanksgiving double murder for the next 10 or so years, during which time he committed other crimes while incarcerated. Tabler has repeatedly stated that he would give up his appeal rights and request execution, but he would later change his mind and keep appealing. He did so for the first time on October 17, 2008, when Tabler requested that his appeals be dropped and that he be allowed to pass away. He addressed a letter to a judge on May 8, 2010, asking for his quick execution and withdrawing his appeal. However, his choice to cease appealing was questioned at one point, and the hearing was convened in 2011 to find out if he was mentally competent to relinquish his appeals. On October 15, 2012, Tabler reaffirmed his desire to die. When Tabler once more stated in September 2013 that he would not be appealing, his attorneys strongly objected, claiming he was not mentally competent to withdraw his appeals. Back in August 2011, it was reported that Tabler had appealed that his initial decision to waive his appeals was not made voluntarily because some prison officials allegedly threatened him to not proceed with his appeals against the death sentence. Originally, Tabler was set to be executed in February 2010, but a stay of execution was granted. Tabler's appeal was denied by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals on October 3, 2014. On January 27, 2015, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals likewise denied Tabler's follow-up appeal. However, some of Tabler's grounds for appeal were returned to the lower courts for further consideration. The U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas denied Tabler's appeal on June 10, 2021. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals denied Tabler's appeal on October 19, 2023. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld the death penalty in Tabler's case on October 7, 2024, after rejecting his last appeal. According to reports, Tabler got caught in October 2008 for threatening State Senator John Whitmire over the phone, saying he wanted to target the senator's daughters and knew their names and residential addresses. Following his arrest, it was discovered that Tabler had made these calls using a smuggled cell phone. It was also discovered that he had shared the same phone with 9 other inmates in his block and that during the previous 30 days, over 2,800 calls had been made on it. For security considerations, a lockdown was imposed on the prison when the smuggled phone case was discovered. Tabler's mother was arrested at a Texas airport shortly after she arrived to visit her son that same month, after investigations revealed that she was the one who obtained the phone and some airtime for the phone calls. She was charged with smuggling illegal items into the prison. Tabler was given another 10-year prison sentence in May 2009 after being accused of using illegal materials and uttering threats while in prison. In addition to the phone smuggling, Tabler had threatened Whitmire's life in threat letters since 2008, one of which was also sent to a reporter. Tabler convinced a Methodist prison priest to smuggle letters out of the facility, which were delivered to Whitmire and carried threats against the politician. This happened again in 2009. In the same year, he also created a blog to threaten Whitmire's life once more. Tabler wrote Whitmire another threat letter in 2012. He is scheduled for execution on February 13. In the same day, in Florida, inmate James Ford is waiting for his death penalty to be carried out. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.